Oh my goodness gracious, guys. There are just some stories that stress you out, but they don't get old. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more esports news. Today we're talking about League of Legends and cheaters and match fixing, and what region, if I'm going to ask you guys, is going to be cheating the most out there or match fixing the most, what region would it be? Ding, 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 you guys nailed it. It's China once again. It's actually China and Taiwan throughout 2019 so far, already being accused at least 3 times across 3 different teams, across 3 different leagues in League of Legends alone, and throughout 2019 of having players or management trying to fix matches. It's an incredible story as well, and I'll link the articles down below for all of you guys. It is stressing me out though. I hope you guys all enjoy. It's actually brought to us by LGD. I would say a pretty esteemed Chinese organization out there, especially when it comes time for the Dota 2 scene. They now have a player and manager as well, receiving suspensions as well as a lifelong ban for fixing matches. And that's going to be a player known as Condi out there. He has now received an 18-month suspension from League of Legends, along with his manager known as Hesitate, who's also received a lifelong ban, which I think rightfully so, after I tell you guys how this story did break down. But I will, for the first time, trying to maybe even to defend the player, that being Condi, or even shed some light on the situation, because when it comes to Chinese allegations over in the eastern regions, we know about this, right? It's been happening across every single esport out there. Chinese cheaters and Chinese match fixing has always been an issue and always will be, in terms of pressure of peer figures as well as maybe some scary figures forcing players to fix results. It will always be an issue, and it's been a more prevalent issue across, I would say, over the past 2 to 3 years. And with that being said, it's actually Condi who does come out and admit, yes, he gambled on one match. It was one match he was competing in, but it was actually a match supposedly he wanted to win. So I do believe he was betting on his team and himself to actually win the match, which again is still against league rules. I understand that. He admits guilt when it comes to that fault, but also on top of that, he was then presented to himself or approached by his own manager, that being Hesitate, and potentially blackmailed into trying to fix more results, because the manager knew he had gambled on matches. Therefore, he says, hey, I'm not going to tell anyone about your match gambling as long as you throw some other matches for me. Condi then denies that. He brings it to league officials, and with that being said, suspensions have now been divvied out, as well as a lifelong ban for the manager himself. And the entire situation, I think there's more to it, because good riddance for a manager like Hesitate, a peer figure, probably, you would say a peer to these players as well, a person who is supposed to be looking out for the players and their best interests, and is now blackmailing their players into trying to fix more results to put money in his pocket. Frick this Hesitate guy. I'm glad he's gone of League of Legends forever, and he should never be welcome back in esports in the first place. The Chinese scene is so corrupt, and we don't understand the pressure these players must feel when a manager like Hesitate approaches you and says, hey, I'm going to ruin your career unless you fix some matches. It's got to be incredibly hard to actually admit the guilt that you have had, go to the league officials and say, hey, I'm not going to fix these matches, but I did do something wrong, and all of a sudden you're being punished, I would say, pretty harshly for it. So you have a player in Condi who did break the rules. He gambled on a match, supposedly a match he did want to win though, so I think he actually bet on himself to win the match. It's still sketchy. It's against league rules, obviously, but with that being said, he admits guilt for that fault, which I do respect him for. There's plenty of players out there who do not do the same thing. They deny, don't even bring it up in some cases as well. He admits his fault in terms of match gambling, but then also tells officials he never fixed a match for his manager. He only gambled on one single match, and so based on that evidence, what do? They give him a 1.5-year ban from League of Legends. To me, that seems extremely harsh. So hopefully further investigation into actually Condi's past and to see if he actually fixed matches or actually gambled on more matches. I think a 1.5 years is pretty harsh, but if he did break league rules, then league rules are league rules and league punishments are those punishments. With that being said though, updates on the story as well. LGD, 2 more academy members were also fired from the organization because they too were match fixing. Even in one of the most well-noted Chinese organizations, more so for their Dota team, that being said, they still have this going on. It's incredible to see just the corruption over in that region. We also had 2 other teams as well. It was actually Dragon Gate, I believe, from the LMS, as well as an LDL team, that being Rogue Sharks or Rogue Sharks Warriors. They were also fined and actually found several players inside their organization, all back in April, of doing the same gosh dang thing. It's just, it baffles me every time I bring up Chinese cheaters and the Chinese scene, because it's not getting any better. But as per usual, really curious what you guys think about this. Do you think Condi deserves a 1.5-year ban for match fixing, or I guess I should say gambling on one single match where he actually bet on himself to win the game? It's a weird way to gamble on yourself. Usually when people gamble on matches, they do so to throw the match. They bet against themselves, but he actually bet with himself. So kind of a weird thing there. A 1.5-year ban for that does seem pretty harsh in my own own eyes, but again, league rules and punishments, that they have their own rights in order to do so. But really curious what you guys think about that. The whole situation, it blows my mind how much goes on in the Chinese scene, that it really kind of scary as well. I would love to have a player on here eventually tell their story about how much pressure is on them to sometimes do these kind of things. So I don't fully blame Condi in this aspect, but we need more details, and hopefully his ban length will be, I would assume, hopefully shortened, but with no telling over there as well with these league restrictions and with these league rules still in place. And as always, I hope you guys all enjoy. My name is Jake. I'll see you back here sometime later today with more esports news, and until then, take care.